What up everybody, Wiser Wonder with Tattoo Pro Stencils, and today I'm going to show you how to do an octopus airbrush tattoo using your Tattoo Pro Stencils. Let's do it. First thing I'm going to do is set my octopus stencil down in the center of the area I want to tattoo. Now this piece has a lot of random pieces sticking out. You notice they all stick out past the arm. So this is one of those ones where you got to lay it flat and rotate it while you spray in order to accomplish. I like to start out here by this leg, and we'll get this whole side into there and this leg, and you notice I'm slowly starting to shift it over. That way it gets held down onto the skin as I go. If your stencil shifts, just get it back into place and continue spraying. Over here where these legs are, just kind of rotate it over, and there we go. Our octopus is laid out. I'm just going to add a little bit more shadow in a couple key places. There, and there, and there. This part can get tricky. Now we're going to add the dimension to the legs. Now on our big sheet here, we just got to pay attention to how our octopus is sitting. So as it sits there, that means that we're going to now rotate this so that it lines up with our legs. Now if this is flipped, they won't line up. You got to make sure that this shape is facing the same way and then rotate it to get your line up. Now see, this goes here, this one goes here, and it's just really easy to line it up and set it up. Just double check and make sure they're lined up. Go ahead and give a little spray. There. And now our legs have the tentacles on them. Next we're going to add some coral reef around our octopus. So we have one of our coral reef bits here. Now here I'm not going to spray along the whole thing. I'm just going to use my airbrush to spray little bits and pieces of this. I'm not using the whole end. I'm using little sections, and I'm actually going to flip this and use the other side as well. Gonna put this one down and grab my second coral reef tool. Okay, so here same thing. I'm just using little bits and pieces, turning and also flipping the design in order to create this little coral reef background. Flip. All right, that's looking pretty good. Can also bring in our little wave here. I like to stick this guy right up behind the top of the head. He just adds a little bit of you know, just some splash behind. What comes next is all with our freestyle tools. I'm going to take my favorite freestyle tool. I'm going to start with the head. Okay, I like to take this edge, put it right there, add a little shadow behind the eye. Also take that edge, separate the eyes a little bit, and that edge there. I'll also take this little hook shape here, set it right there, and that kind of adds a little bit of depth there. This guy lines up right there, and that allows you to pop that back, and we'll just hook that up there. Anywhere where the legs swirl around and overlap, I'm just going to hit a little bit of shadow. If it's really tight, use this little curve here. Bam. And all these will pop out, no problem. Here's another little spot. Make sure that if it curves, you use a curved side. That way you don't end up with straight lines on a curve. Just gonna add a little shadow there, a little shadow there. Moving down here, and there, a little bit. Here's another one of those little pockets. Use that guy. See, there we go. That's better. Here I can use that, and then flipping this, a little bit of depth there, and getting to the last bits of the leg here. Okay, then I'm going to add just a little bit of mist on top of the legs. That way I can add some highlights later. I'm going to add a little bit of a freestyle shadowing here in the head, and there, and there. We also have some fish cutouts. I like to use these two little swimming fish. Let's make sure they're held down and placed good. That way you don't get fuzzy like that. I'll probably end up erasing that one. Here's another fish that's pretty good. I'll stick this one here. This one's a little close to the edge, so just be careful how you spray. That way you don't get any overspray. There's a couple other creatures. There's also a seahorse that's pretty cool. We'll put that guy down here. And you can really just, you can also use these cutout shapes to add a bit to your coral reef here and there. Some little silhouettes. Using the freestyle tool, once again, we can add some of these designs here and that fan pattern to kind of, you know, bring that out a little bit. Like I said before, this fan pattern really kind of helps finish off a design, capping it off at the shoulder. You could do some down here if you want, but I'm going to go ahead and leave that alone. Last but not least, we got our highlights. Using my cotton swab and 99% alcohol, I'm going to start clearing off some highlights. Usually I start on the legs. That's the place that needs it the most. There. Make sure we get there. And see how adding this highlight really does a lot for the legs here. Really want to add a little bit of highlight to the top of the head too. There. I also want to add a bit of shine in the eye. That's cool. And I can actually use the swab to kind of bring in some of the water waves into the design as well. That's going to add just a little bit of extra depth. And these are just like wisps of water. There we go. And we could do like one coming down here. And this way. Alright. Last but not least. So one last thing I can do if you want me to is I got my lizard skin BAM stencil. I can use these little tiny parts of it to just add a little bit of texture. See right there on these legs. I could put some coming down the legs, and this is just adding just a little bit of like a little bit of texture to the octopus's skin. And you don't have to do it everywhere, just in a couple of key spots. It's gonna pop it off like so. And that looks like it's about finished right there. So there we go, awesome octopus tattoo done with your Tattoo Pro Stencils. Make sure that if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the section below. And also make sure to subscribe, that way you can catch all these awesome tutorials that we here at Tattoo Pro are bringing you.